Yes, good afternoon and welcome to this special edition of the Choralist Conversations with me, Sibusiso Njeza. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. This is a very unusual time and day for these conversations. This is the Heritage Day, 24th September, on a Thursday at 3 o'clock. We usually have our conversations on a Sunday at 3 and in the evenings on Thursdays. But we're here today for one specific reason: to assist those that are interested in studying music or studying towards a music qualification. I realize that most universities are closing their applications next week on the 30th. So this gives us 6 days for people to apply. So I thought, let me invite people who are working in the universities, in the music departments, to come and assist and give us information. So please invite those that are interested to study towards a music degree, more especially conductors, because they are the ones who cultivate this interest in learners, that eventually they want to study towards a music degree. So it would be very useful for conductors to attend and listen and watch and follow this conversation and ask whatever questions they may have so that they can inform their learners. So please create watch parties, invite others, tag people to come and watch. This afternoon, I am joined by 4 guests, but I still have 3 on my screen right now. I know the 4th one is coming in shortly. I have 4 guests. Let me invite them in from the University of Fort Hare in East London. And Alice, we are joined by Mr. Thami Zungu. How are you, sir?
Hey, Matuna, I'm good, sir. I'm good, man. Good afternoon to all the viewers of the program, and thanks a lot for inviting us as UFH in your program.
And thank you very much for agreeing to be part of this conversation. And from the University of Cape Town, we are joined by Mr. Patrick Tikolo. Unjani, Tisha?
Siphilile Sibu, nathi siyacenga kwezinsuku different. Kodwa ke ngokwangoku siyazibulisela kuwe, sizibulisela nakubo bonke abaphulaphuli okanye ababukeli wale program.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this afternoon. From Nelson Mandela University, I used to struggle with this NMMMU. It looked like a lot of M's there, but they've simplified it now. It's Nelson Mandela University. Oh, Mr. Akhona Nkumanda. Sir, how are you?
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon to the viewers. It's a very great joy and privilege for me to be part of this show this afternoon. And happy Heritage Day.
Happy Heritage Day to you too, sir. Thank you very much for joining this afternoon. Let me apologize ahead of time for my network. It might be unstable every now and then at home, and things are not the same when we are at home. So I hope people will bear with me if my network is not so stable. I'm trying to see if Mr. Thami Zungu has made it. But as soon as he comes in, Mr. Thami Zungu from TUT, we will then invite him in. But for now, let's perhaps kickstart the conversation, colleagues, by just confirming the closing dates for applications. Let's start with you, Mr. Nkumanda. Closing dates for NMU. When are you closing the applications?
We still have quite some time because we are only closing the applications on the 14th of November.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yes.
Mr. Ngogwana at Fort Hare.
Oh, thank you. I was trying to unmute me.
Yeah.
At Fort Hare, the closing date is the end of September. However, there are talks that it will be postponed to maybe later this year, either October or November, because since the situation that the world is under now, the semester, I mean the first semester had to start on the 1st of September. So that means the actual teaching. So hence now everything is like being shifted backwards.
Okay, that's also good news.
But of course, but of course, once the decision is being made in terms of the closing date, if they are going to be postponed, for sure it will be announced to the public.
Okay. I think it would be a good idea to treat it as it is until such time it is announced. Say it's 30th of September, you apply, and then if it is extended, then that's your extra time. Mr. Tikolo, how about the South African College of Music?
Okay, ours was in fact July 31st. You probably might have had, it has changed since we went online. We're doing online applications. So it used to be, in fact, before this period, it was July 31st. But now we've taken it to September 30th. And that's when everybody must make sure that the applications are in. Failing to do that, I'm not saying we cannot make means, but I just don't want to actually give an impression that people can delay the application. I really think it's wise that everybody applies now. And if at any point we can help in that process, let us do.
Yeah, I also agree with you, Mr. T. People need to treat it as it is, and then if anything happens, then we deal with that. At this point in time, let me welcome Mr. Thami Zungu. He has finally joined us. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Moli, and the other panelists. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. As you came in, I was just asking when is the closing date for the universities, if there's anything that has changed. So the colleagues were responding to that. So how about TET?
Well, obviously, it has been a very crazy year. So right now, I think they were discussing when we're going to have the other closing date. But everybody must apply, and then you need to call the university for auditions. I don't think everybody will be sympathetic to the situation. So I probably by next week, Thursday, we will know exactly when the next day of closing the applications.
Okay. It seems like, except for Nelson Mandela, that has already shifted the closing date to sometime in November, 14th of November to be specific. Other universities are still keeping it 30th September, but with a possibility of extending. That is nice. Now that we know when the applications will be closing, which is next week for most universities, can we maybe now talk about the different possibilities in terms of music streams or courses that people can enroll to, or qualifications, diplomas, certificates, degrees that are available for anyone who wants to apply? And we may talk about how to qualify for any of those perhaps a little later. But for now, what are the possible different streams? Mr. Ngokwana, let me start with University of Fort Hare. What are you guys offering in the department?
Thank you very much, Swo. Good afternoon, Mr. Zongo. Good Tabi.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Yeah, whatever.
Thank you, Mr. Njeza. At Fort Hare, we have 2 programs. The first one is BA in music, and then the second one is BMAS in music. Then is BMAS, sorry. Then the first one, which is BA in music, is being offered in Alice, and it's a 3-year degree. That one is specifically focusing on the choral music, which is choral conducting, choral music theory, and history of choral music, then as well as Western music, of course, as well as theory. All the usual suspects of our music are there. Then it's for those students. It was merely designed for those students who want to go and teach, maybe in high school or primary, like as you were saying earlier about the creative arts and stuff. Now, they are asked to elect some few modules outside of music department. For an example, they will select what is called psychology, history, any teaching subject. Then later they will have to register for or apply and register for PGCE so that they can be fully qualified teachers. And then now coming to East London, which is the program which was formed around 2012, 2013, under the headship of Professor Blybinger, which is BMAS. The BMAS is mostly about those who want to specialize in this in a certain field. Hence, there we have jazz, we have classical and African music. Under jazz, we have all the components such as history, voice, and we have those who want to specialize in a played instrument such as your piano, drums, and whatever. Same as classical being the voice, and with the help of the faculty, or rather with the assistance of the faculty, we are trying by all means to introduce opera studies as a fully fledged program now, but it's not yet there. However, because of the things that we are doing currently at the university, we saw it fit that we introduce such programs. Because in music department here too, since it was established around 1970, it has never had such programs or areas of specialization until the BMAS program was introduced, which is in East London. Then now, so we have jazz, classical, and African music. Then for classical music now, this opera stuff falls under the classical. And of course, even other components under classical music, which are like piano students, and of course history, because I believe that there is no institution that doesn't do history of music all over. Yeah, and also, yes, I almost forgot, we also have modules such as music technology, because we are so fortunate that our building is at the Eastern Cape Audiovisual Center, whereby our students, when they study music technology, they're doing it like live, they record, they do everything. It's there, all the equipment is there. So those who want to be DJs, those who want to be whatever, that includes music tech, it's there. Also the music administration and marketing. So because they are offered in East London, those, because sometimes you find out our students, not all of them are going to be successful in performance. Let's just be honest on that. Some would like to go and work as administrators. So we do have that kind of a module here. Thanks, Mr. Njeza. I think for now, let me just stop right there. Mute. Unmute.
Yes, sorry. I was saying, I find this very much interesting, Mr. Nkumanda, because in most cases, we only talk about music performance and teaching. We don't talk about administration. We don't talk about marketing. We don't talk about business. We don't talk about technology, of which all these are components within the music field. And that is why other people would carry the pressure of wanting to become performers when they are not really talented in that field. So I'm very happy that University of Fort Hare is offering that. And also the technology. We always complain about recordings in most competitions and festivals. Most engineers don't know how to mic choirs. So I believe that if we have students from the same field of music studying technology, they will know better. Thank you so much, Mr. Ngogwana. Mr. Tikolo, can you get us into what SASCM is offering?
Thanks once more, Nkosi yami. Ngiyayibulisa nami le nkosi ifikayo. Incebo yakuthi le.
Yebo mholi.
Yes, Sibu, on our side, what we're offering, in fact, we have a program which is called X program, which is meant to be that 1 year of introductory studies, where they get to be introduced in what is being done at the university level. After they actually do what we now call a DMP, Diploma in Music Performance. And then we have, by the way, the Diploma in Music Performance runs for 3 years. Some of you will recall, because at some point we have Performer in Diploma in Opera, what it used to be called Diploma in Opera. That one was actually phased out, hence it had 4 years. What we got from the Department of Education was anything that is diploma should be 3 years. So we had to try and do it in a way that will be, easy for everybody. Hence, we actually had this extended diploma, which is called that intro, and then the Diploma in Music Performance, which can be opera or classical studies. And then we have advanced diploma, which is basically that 4th year that we used to have in the performance diploma in opera. So now it's called advanced diploma in opera. That you do for a year before you get to do your post-grad music performance. Now, we go on from there, we have BMAS. BMAS, of course, which is 4 years. Also, actually, we have it in opera stream, we have it in musicology, we have it in general stream and compositions. And then we have honors. We move from honors, we have masters, and then go on with PhD on top there. So we actually have different streams, as I've mentioned with some of these. We have opera, of course. We have opera. I cannot even start to define that. People know what that is. We specialize a lot at UCT with that. We have Western classical performance, which is where they actually still sing and would do a lot of repertoire, opera being part of that. And it's just extensive because you don't only do opera. You do it until you do, of course, you get to do BMAS as well there. And then you have jazz. We have jazz studies. UCT has been well known for that as well. And then we have African music, which attracts a lot of foreign students. Funny enough, because ours are not that much. It gets to be enticing to people who come from abroad because they see what we do as something that is interesting enough. Some of us, we will look at African music and think, I cannot waste time and do that. It is something that needs to be done. It is something the world enjoys. Hence, it is important that we start respecting what is ours instead of just concentrating on what is given to us. And then I move on from there. We have also musicology. musicology, those that want to actually specialize on things like history, you do all of those extended studies, sticking on those academic projects that are there in the curriculum. So those are the kind of programs that we do. Oh, I forgot once more. We have music technology, which is, of course, you know, it's also getting a lot of attention from students because there's lots that it offers as well. It's a big program. It's a huge program, and it's just a matter of maybe people getting to see the curriculum. If you need more details on this one, you could go online, maybe Google, say, UCT 2020 handbook, and maybe say humanities is going to be our department. As music division, we are under humanities faculty. So you see all of these courses in detail as to the specifics in each course. What are the courses that are offered within that program of study? Because of time, I won't dwell on those. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Tiko. Before I move from you, the composition, you mentioned composition. Is it at the undergrad level? Does it start there, or it starts at postgrad, as you normally see in universities as an honors or master?
Yes, thanks, Mus. Thanks for that question. I also have to explain. We also have in the BMAS, everybody who actually starts doing BMAS, they started on a stream that is called general. General is when everybody gets there. It's for them to explore exactly what it is that is offered here. And then with that year of study, they get to see lots of options. Okay, I think I would master this better. They choose if they want to do opera. They choose if they want to do musicology. They choose if they want to do Western classical. They choose if they want to do composition. In other words, composition is actually at an undergrad level. You start specializing in your second year.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Those of you guys that are watching, remember to ask questions. I may not ask exactly what you want to know. I'll just ask general questions so that we get general information. So if you have a specific question for a specific panelist, please write your question and I will ask one of my panelists to respond to your question. Mr. Zungu, let's talk about TUT. What is being offered in the music department?
Yes, sir. Actually, 2020 has brought about many changes. We just started a new curriculum that we've been developing for the past 3 years or so. And the main theoretical framework of this new curriculum is about multidisciplinary, meaning the program in itself, there is a lot of generic subjects that you are doing at the undergraduate level, and then you specialize as you go higher. So in the past, we were doing the specialization in the beginning of the study. So now we have about 50% for specialization plus, the generic subject. So the way the department has been constructed is no longer only music. So we have a performing art department. And the performing art department will have jazz and opera as music. You also have dance, you also have theater making. So that will include musical theater, it will include drama, it will include entertainment technology. So all of that is forming one department. And the whole subjects that all of these students are learning, about 50%, all of them need to learn these core subjects. So they will include things like African performance. They will include things like technology studies, music technology. criticism. So in other words, although you come to study music, but you have to learn a little bit more about drama, you need to learn a little bit more about acting. And the people from drama need to learn a little bit more about singing. So it becomes generic and there are core subjects. So that is happening at the diploma, and we call the diploma the Performing Art Diploma. But before that, because of the points and the skills required to enter diploma, so there's a new program we introduced. There is a higher certificate in music. So we just teach the rudiments of music because not everybody has had an opportunity to study theory of music, the basic history. You learn a little bit about piano playing. So we're just giving an opportunity for those students who want to really pursue music, but they haven't had any opportunity or experience. So when you finish the certificate, then you can go to the diploma. And then that's where you're going to find all of these subjects I'm telling you about, the core subjects. And then you can choose, for example, for those who want to do opera, they can just choose voice and choral studies, and then you still learn theory, you learn history, and so forth. And then after the diploma, which is 3 years, like what Bizongwa is saying and Patrick is saying, the diploma will take 3 years. And then after that, we have advanced diploma, which will be a year. It's kind of equivalent to what was called B.Tech year. And then after advanced diploma, and then you can go to postgraduate diploma. So in general, that is how the new program has been set up. Yabonga.
Wow, this is new and exciting. Like you were saying, someone who does some acting drama, at some point they need to sing. And those that are singing, sometimes they need to act. I know it's done differently in the opera diploma at UCT. They'll do a stagecraft like separately, but that is very much important. And I like the fact that you also have a certificate, higher certificate, so for those who had no music background at all, which is something that I want us to talk about just before we finish the conversation. Let me go to Mr. Nkumanda with the Nelson Mandela University.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njeza. The Nelson Mandela University Music and Performing Arts Department as you may have noticed that we changed from being just a music department, but also and we have 2 streams of diploma in music. We have curriculum 1. Curriculum 1 requires it's catering for those that have never done any formal training in music. But then, in order for one to be able to be accepted into this course, one needs to be able to submit a certain audition in order for us to see that the person will be at least for their instrument, they are somewhere that we can be able to drive them forward. And then they don't need anything else other than that. But then we also have a diploma in music, which is curriculum 2, the second one. So the second one is for people that do not meet the requirements for the degree, but they have grade 6 of the grade 6 of they have a grade 6 qualification for their practical, which is their instrument. They can have this from different boards, from different independent boards like UNISA, ABRSM, and Trinity Guildhall. So one needs to have a grade 6 here, and then they have to have at least a grade 2 of theory from these independent examining boards. And then, so if one comes from, I know most of the people that we get, most of the people that are in the degree stream, they start from this diploma, because very few schools that offers music in South Africa today. So it's difficult for people to have these requirements. They can't meet these requirements. So people need to look exactly as to what they can do and how do they meet the requirements of the curriculums in the diploma. So besides the two diplomas, we also have the bachelor, the bachelors of music. We have Bachelor of Music in general, which is all the Bachelor of Music. It's a 4-year degree, and then one needs to be able to have had prior qualifications in music, and then it's a minimum theoretical standard equivalent to grade 5 of the external examining bodies is required for admission to the first module of music theory, analysis, and oral development. And we have, for practical, a standard equivalent to grade 6 of the external examining bodies is required for admission to the first module of first instrument advanced. So for the general, that's what you need. And we also have Bachelor of Music Interdisciplinary Studies. For interdisciplinary studies, this is when one wants to take modules outside of the music department. For instance, we have mostly students that will be doing in the media, journalist, and the other example will be the psychology for music therapists.
Mr. Nkumanda, I think the last one, your network was not stable,
yes.
So I couldn't hear. That last, was it interdisciplinary one? The one you were explaining just now. You can repeat that one.
Yes. Yes, sir. So the Bachelor of Music Interdisciplinary Studies, it's one where you combine your music with courses that are outside the music department. And I gave an example of if you want to become a music therapist, then you would also take modules from the psychology department. That is one of the interdisciplinary studies. Those are one of the majors. And also, if you want to become a music broadcaster, if you want to become a music journalist, then you will take courses from the media, communications, and culture. Those are some of the examples of the wide, broadened examples that one can has options of. And yes, and then after that we have the Bachelor of Music. It's also a 4-year degree. They all the Bachelor of Music, they all have the same requirements. They all have the same entry requirements, which I explained earlier. And then the Bachelor of Music Education, that's when you focus more on education. So here one is built to become a music educator. Within the music education, we also include choral conducting, because most schools require one to become a conductor when they have done a Bachelor of Music. So music education, choral conducting is one of the disciplinaries there. And then we have drama as well involved in that. So we have it's just the rudiments of drama. It's just the elementary education of drama, so that if you are being placed at a school and you have to teach your involves dance, we are able to help you with that, because this forms part of the streams that you will have to follow when you are doing the Bachelor of Music Education. Yes, and then we have the Bachelor of Music Technology. Music technology focuses more on sound engineering engineering. It focuses more on sound engineering, sound production. Yes, so mostly you'll be working in, if you want to focus on working more on the studio, if you want to be a producer, all those streams are all in the technology stream. Then with music and performing arts, so the Bachelor of Music in Performing Arts. So arts, this is where you focus more on your performance. So MU boasts of many of ensembles where one exercises their practical. Of course, you have to be able to be at a standard where you can perform as a very competitive soloist in your instrument. But we have student and staff concerts where you get to form part of the NMU Brass Ensemble, the NMU Symphonic Orchestra, the Wind Ensemble, Guitar Ensemble, Steel Pen Ensemble, Marimba Ensemble, the NMU Big Band Jazz Big Band, the Jazz Band, the String Ensemble, and the NMU Chamber Choir, and the Eastern Cape Philharmonic Orchestra. So when you're a performer, you are required to form part in some way in these ensembles, so that you can start to practice. And we also use this as forms part of your modules, that you are part of these ensembles. So you get credited for that. You get marks, and you get to recognize that you are able to work in an ensemble. You have been tested in that field, because that's one of the most important things as a student or as a musician, that you are not just a
Mr. Nkumanda, I'm losing you again. Perhaps whilst Mr. Nkumanda is reconnecting, what would be the options for this kind of a student? He wants to know whether one can actually do instruments only, maybe piano and voice, and maybe start something else instead of doing a fully fledged diploma in music. Are there any possibilities for such? Yeah, this I'm throwing it. Nakubani. Mr. Ngokwan, maybe we start with you.
Okay, Maduna. Thanks a lot. I was looking at an option of raising a hand like teams do, but I was thanks for this is a very important question. First, Madonna, can you please allow me? I'm sorry to go back, because I spoke only about the undergrad programs, which we have at Fort. We also have postgrad programs, such as your honors. From honors, one goes to masters, and from masters, one goes to PhD. But our postgrad, we do have honors in practical, but we don't have masters. Masters is only for research, and PhD is also for research. Then it means someone, if he or she wants to enroll for masters, MA in music with Fort Hare, it will have to be in a research component only. And your colleagues can tell that last year Fort Hare was awarded as the best institution when it comes to a research component. So that is why it is very key in the Bayer research. Now, coming to the question by Mr. Kala, here at Fort Hare, unfortunately, we do not have that kind of situation whereby one comes and apply only for one instrument. It can be voice or piano or any. So if one wants to enroll with Fort Hare, he or she will have to enroll for the whole program. If his choice would be an instrument, it will have to be BMAS. So not BA in music. It will have to be BMAS, that is in East London, so that he or she can choose the stream of instrument that he wants to focus on. yeah, for now, that's how I was gonna answer the question, Madonna.
Ndingangena teacher.
I think mute, Madonna.
Sorry. Yes, Mr. Tikolo, come in.
Yes. I also wanted to highlight something while my colleagues were talking. I was reminded of something that people might ask. I didn't mention about anything about UCT Hiddink School of Theatre. In other words, where there's drama and acting. It is part of this whole thing. Of course, because the schools were bigger, they actually were separated years back, but there's still some kind of a connection. And one would also recall UCT works in collaboration with Cape Town Opera. So our opera productions get to be, taken to the stage, opera, Cape Town or Artscape stage, where they actually get to put things in practice. Currently, they are working on Così fan tutte. That's the opera that we are working on under these current circumstances, but it is definitely going to be happening. I wanted to also respond to Mr. Gala by saying it is somewhat awkward when somebody wants to come to particularly do this one instrument. I hope I heard the question clearly. There was some noise. People will also forgive me because we don't own these houses. There are people who own them. So there was some noise, hence I had to put this one. I want to extend my apology. So I think the question is that, yes, you have an interest in playing a piano, or rather maybe want to sing. You can take your singing, you can take your piano, but in this fashion, it is best that you actually do it on part-time basis. You approach somebody in the program, a particular teacher that, if you know of any teacher inside, you talk to that particular teacher, you get the lessons. We always have time for private students. And of course, in the piano division, there are colleagues that would see to it that you enroll. It's one other story if you then want to actually get into the program. There are instances, for instance, where you have people who never basically got a chance to study at the university level. And then they have these good skills that they have, either in singing or piano. And at this point, maybe somebody would feel like, I wish I went to school. At times, somebody's, thinks they are probably above the age limit. There are ways that you still can get there. I'm also talking about this because we've had situations where we've had people who were even above 25 with good voices who actually wanted to be in the program. At times, maybe due to things that happen in our society, somebody maybe went to do the matric, they didn't do well, or maybe they didn't pass it at all, and then now they cannot get into the university. You come to us, you do the audition. If you do it in a way that will wow all of us, we will say this one deserves a chance. We get to apply for you what is known as age or a metric exemption to say you specialize. Now you can be allowed to be in the university program without that bachelor or diploma pass, just for the mere fact that you're above 25. And then you'll be allowed into the program. You'll study like everybody else. So there are those options that we have for people. But basically, if you want to do just your voice or piano while being at work, I suggest you take it privately. Thanks.
That is a wonderful option, this one of people above 25 and those that did not really make it through matric or who might have less points than is required by universities. I hope anyone who has that challenge now knows there are options. You just don't have to sit there. You need to contact the music department. There's another question from Godfrey. I know at some point there were a number of colleagues who studied at the then UPE. I know people like the late composer Tatu Ngcobe, they used to commute every now and then to study at UPE, which was some sort of a distance learning. I'm not sure if these kinds of offerings are still there at universities, because most of those colleagues were teachers, so they had full-time jobs. They would just attend block lectures in distance learning format. Do we have anything like that at TUT, Mr. Zungu?
No, we don't have anything like that. But I can tell you, I don't know if it's correct to talk about UNISA, because it is the only institution I know in Gauteng that can offer online learning, and I think the students can even see their lecturers. I don't know how often, but it's something that is possible. And I'm not sure about their degree programs, but I know it's something that they do. Whereas TUT contact and nothing online. Well, besides this COVID situation we are dealing with, but we don't have anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's correct, sir, to refer people to UNISA, because we're just giving information. Of course, we don't have all the information about courses offered at UNISA and how people qualify. Most of you colleagues have mentioned what I was interested in terms of students who did not have any music background. You answered that question as to what is it that they need to do, how the universities are trying to bridge that gap. Because I was really interested, given the fact that we have so much talent, maybe just as an addition to that, because what you're doing is wonderful to accommodate those kind of learners. Maybe as an extension now, SASCA is very vibrant under the Basic Education Department. It's very vibrant. We hear wonderful voices up to the national level. Are there any connections that are being done, for those students, to those that are interested actually to study music, to be spotted by universities? Are universities invited, or are the universities interested in that program? This can be answered by anyone. Welcome back, Mr. T. I'm just checking, is there any connection? If there's no connection, then we can suggest it, because I believe those students need to be guided exactly from when they sing at that national finals and be recruited to sing if they want to sing. Mr. T.
Thanks, Boo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Thank you. From our side, we don't have anything that I can say we have that has been planned or that is in that's already happening in terms of accommodating what you are just talking about, except for the fact that I'm one of the people who get to see these programs, as you know. And when I see talent, and when somebody knows that maybe from ECT or there's something he wants, or say he wants or she wants to be at UCT, they speak to me, or I reach out to talk to them to say where they program. In terms of the students that I've worked with, and even there are students who are still at high school who actually want to start getting lessons so that they can preparing for the audition, so that when time comes, they are ready to actually do it accordingly. In other words, audition, knowing that at
at least what I'm presenting will actually guarantee me space at the university. But I just want to say, unfortunately, we don't have any arranged a program or interaction with any of the programs by SASK and so forth. For now, then.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. T. At 410, if no one. Anyone, can you hear me? Doesn't seem like we are live. Mr. Nkumanda, did you get my question?
No, sir. Can you please repeat it?
No, I was just asking, with the program like SASK, is there any interest from the side of the universities to recruit students from there, or are there any connections that are being made from the SASK side with the universities, so that the students who show talent, it's like scouting, the students who show talent, who perform at the nationals or even the provincials, just to get them to study music? Is there any program like that?
Okay, thank you very much, Smo. The answer is quite short, as being no. There is no program like that which is formal. However, by virtue of being involved, Kosaske, I and other colleagues that I'm working with at Forte do the recruitment. But it's not something that have been written down that says there is this sort of collaboration between UFH and Forte. I mean, and
it looks like I've lost Mr. Ngokwana. Mr. Mukhale is advising students that they should not only focus on the junior degree, but pursue postgraduate as well, since there are challenges pertaining the market within the music industry. And I think that's a good advice, Mr. Mukhale. Thank you for that. We are about to part ways. We only have 2 minutes. Let me read Mr. Tete's comment. Very interesting, Mr. Tikolo, because we deal with very talented choristers who are battling to pass their metric. Those that passed did so poorly to qualify for university level, and they end up giving up on their dreams of having a music communication. Thank you for this information, sir. Yes, I agree with Mr. Tete. That information is valuable, because some people they think, okay, they can never be considered at university. Let me read Mandi Sangu. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I am highly impressed by the fact that your music department embrace a diversity of art forms and cater for diverse talent music genres that our youth may be endowed with by God. There's more interest in performing arts among today's youth. Yes, that is also a meaningful contribution to this conversation, more especially with the fact that some of the universities are offering multidisciplinary kind of a qualification, because a student might be interested in singing and also in sound technology and perhaps in composition as well. In fact, we see composition is now moving towards technology more. We write on computers more than we did by hand back in the day. Maybe as a parting shot from each of you, can we then advise students in terms of how and what to prepare when they're preparing for auditions? Because I think sometimes students fail themselves by taking very big areas to go and impress. So I'm not sure if that is a good way of doing it, or there's a simpler, basic way that a student can actually follow. Mr. Zungu, let me start with you.
Yeah, actually, you just nailed it in the head, because for auditions, you must make sure that you choose something that you can do, not what you like. So, for example, you need to present yourself as capable. So if you are doing something that is way beyond your capabilities, it doesn't do you good. So, for example, in our situation, we just need 2 songs, probably an aria or a song, whatever you are comfortable with. We just want to see if you are able to meet the demands of the program and make sure that your metric is good. We need at least 20 APS for diploma and 18 for certificate. But if you cannot make those points, it's not the end of the world. You know, keep on working. Probably at age of 23, if you are really interested in doing music, you can try again, as what Patrick was saying earlier on, with previously learning.
Mr. Nkumanda, your advice?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Njeza. I think both, especially Maestro Zungu, has nailed it, because it's not all about taking a big area that will make you qualify for the program, but it's all about your voice. You don't have to take big areas, because at times these students, they will come for auditions, and one will take Kejelida Manina, or one will take Lady Macbeth's area, and you'll be like, wow, he or she hasn't got that kind of training as yet. However, we would advise that one can choose a song or an area that is close. Okay, I got lost somewhere. Okay, so as I was saying, for an example, in our case, hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I don't know what is happening. Yeah, you can hear me now. So yeah, for us, for instance, one may want music that is related to that particular genre that he or she is willing to study. Number two, Mr. Njeza, just before you leave me, for our requirements at UFA, we don't merely need one to have studied music before, or to have
eventually
to what
Mr. Nkumanda, we're just advising briefly students who are preparing for auditions.
Thank you, Mr. Njeza. Mr. Njeza, I would advise students and or candidates who are interested in studying music to contact the music department at NMU at music@mandela.ac.za, or check on the website, which has the same address as I just mentioned now. Because I feel like it is best for one, because in music, in the performing arts, it's quite difficult to judge a situation only on paper, but sometimes we are able, as the department, to assist someone into the right direction. So I think it's better for students who have an interest to try and contact the departments, so that we can see how we can help them into getting into the different courses.
Thank you so much, sir. Mr. T.
Thanks once more. My advice for those who are still hoping for audition, like my colleague, Mr. Zungu, it doesn't have to be a difficult area. We have a very easy repertoire. If you look at the INT, the car on your band, and so forth, you look at the do hold the coffee, all those things, they are so much simple. We will have to hear. What is important to us at that point is to hear if this is a voice that's worth the moment. In other words, is this voice worth given a chance to actually be taken further? Sometimes people choose areas and then it's not easy to finish that even within that audition. It already gives us something that this one. Again, what I want to say, we actually are calling for only two. It must be two complete. You can have your aria and then try and have one other piece that also be easy. It could be one of these that I've just mentioned. And also, know it exactly if you want to apply for jazz, for African music, or for classical voice or opera. What I'm trying to say, we've had things here of people who actually are auditioning to say they are auditioning for opera, and then they will be auditioning with jazz repertoire. In that case, it's waste of your time and our time. We would say, okay, try and knock next door. I want to say, so on our side, we added what we call a monologue. A monologue where we have a text that we describe. For females, they will do this one, and then for males, they'll do this one. The intention there is for them to recite it. You know, in the world of opera, what it intends there is for you to actually show us feelings, tell the story, leave what you are saying, be it you singing a song or acting. But what you do with this monologue that we are giving you, we want you to recite it meaningful sense. In other words, you will read it while you are recording, because you need video recording. You can read it, but read it meaningfully. It must have this sense that you understand what you want to achieve with a recital of yours. It also talks to the fact that, okay, some have actually decided to memorize these, and they would add out. People actually, it's the first time we're actually doing it. For the time we're doing them to UCT. But they are giving us that people, they know what they actually want. Also, it gives us that moment to see this one will do it. Where they fall off, we would also be able to say, try and improve it. So that's our approach at UCT. And I also want to say in closing, call Sheila, it's UCS. Her number is 021-650-2621. It's best to email her at sheila.taylor@uct.ac.za. She'll help you with about the application process. You, if time, so you can take it at patrick.ticolo@uct.ac.a. Online, apply to UCT, you'll get some information. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tikolo, and thank you so much to all our guests. What I'm going to do, because I know some people will need those contact details, I am going to collect those contact details and contact persons from our panel, and then post them so that people can know exactly who to contact. Lastly, before we leave, Sheriff Za is asking, I have a challenge for the classical musicians. What options are offered by music institutions to diversify income streams for musicians? I think this was answered partly by what these institutions are offering. Some are offering music technology so that you can get into sound engineering. Others are offering some courses in marketing so that you can get into that, or get into administration, or get into production. There are multidisciplinary courses, but the challenge is that most students register for something that they are not really interested in doing when they qualify, and then they get stuck with that qualification, which is the reason why I thought, let's have this conversation so that if we trigger some questions, then you can begin to interrogate the stream that you want to take as a musician. Once again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. On Sunday, Unfortunately, I'm not going to be the one hosting the show because we have a bereavement at home. So I have asked someone else, Mr. Tembela Vokwana, to host the web talk. Ubongani Drama, people know him. If you don't know him, he is this guy. Ubongani Drama will be presenting a web talk, an interesting topic. Unless anything changes, what he mentioned to me as something that he's interested in, it is how the teaching of singing in universities, how does it then accommodate how we sing as Africans, or in our case, for instance, as Xhosa people. Are those universities who are teaching singing accommodating for isiXhosa to be sung, for isiTswana to be sung correctly, isiZulu, Sepedi, all other African languages? He wants to look into that and raise some questions. So thank you so much. I agree, Mama, this was a very informative session. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to everybody that joined us. Have a good afternoon.